So now that we've had some hands-on time with Black Clover Quartet Knights through the closed beta that just happened this past weekend, I think it's a good time to look back and give our thoughts on the whole thing. Either because you're still not sure if you should be looking forward to this game or not, and also to any developers that might be watching, this is my 2 cents, my piece of feedback on how to improve the game. I will say that in general, the game made a very good first impression on me. That said, I'm about to trash this game with my mouth. I'll throw some compliments here and there so it doesn't sound too harsh, but I'm mainly gonna focus on the negative because it comes from a place of love. I only criticize it because I want it to be better. But yeah, I wanted to open with that. In general, the game made a very good first impression. It's got a ton of problems that I'd love to see fixed, but in general, very good first impression. And I understand most people might actually have the opposite first impression if they only watched gameplay, if they didn't actually get their hands on the game, because the game looks clunky. The game is not beautiful to watch. A lot of the animations are super floaty, some attacks don't seem to have any weight to it. Also, presentation-wise, you've got all of these Japanese characters yelling all the time, and Asta has the most annoying voice actor of all time, so every time he's in a match, it's like, I just want to mute this game forever. But that said, even though the animation and visually the game doesn't look that impressive, it's because gameplay has been prioritized. When you have a floaty jump like that and you're actually in control of the character you're actually playing, it doesn't feel as bad as it looks. And I really want to get this point across that visually I get where you're coming from. The game also looked clunky to me when I saw gameplay for the first time, when I saw trailers. But getting my hands on it, it has definitely changed my perception. The game looks a lot worse than it plays. That said, it's not without its jank. A lot of the times you see characters having trouble recognizing ledges because if you jump against a ledge, usually a character will just climb it. In some cases, the character will also try to wall run, and the game isn't very good at recognizing when you're jumping against a ledge. Sometimes the characters fail to acknowledge that. Sometimes they try to climb a straight up wall that is not a ledge at all. And sometimes you're right on top of the ledge and the character doesn't climb, and in a competitive game, those moments are moments that could get you killed. Let's say you're trying to run away from someone and you encounter one such situation. That's enough for you to die. And if the game wants to be competitive, this stuff really can't happen because it's very frustrating when it does. And while we're on the subject of like the game recognizing distance to objects, I felt this with Asta a lot. So when you're playing as Asta or other melee characters, you have this auto lock function where the character you're playing as will automatically track the opponent. So when you hit the melee attack, Asta just kind of lunges forward and hits the opponent, right? It's kind of an assist system, making it easier for you to not miss attacks all the time. But if those two characters are not on the same plane, if one is like below, then Asta can just like jump across the map because the game failed to recognize that he needed to go down. So a lot of that stuff still needs polish, for sure. I'd say melee characters, for the most part, they don't feel great because of that. And also because there's not a lot of feedback when you melee strike another character. I think the only character that has good melee feedback is Asta. When you swing that sword, you kind of feel like you're hitting your opponent. There's an impact there that gives you, the player, some feedback that yes, these attacks are landing. But if you switch to someone like Vanessa or young Yami, it just feels like you're not hitting anyone. It took me a while to realize that Yami was actually a very good damage dealer. If he gets that sword swinging close to the opponent, you just see the health bar melting. But there's no feedback to the player. Like there's nothing that says, now you're swinging in the air, and now you're swinging in your enemy's face. Unless you're like directly looking at the health bar. Like there's not enough feedback there, so it doesn't feel great. The weapon feels very light, because every time you're slashing the flesh of your enemies, there's no impact, there's no resistance. It's just like slashing the air. So I think in general, melee characters still need a lot of work, especially on this player feedback stuff. And transitioning from melee characters to sort of ranged characters, I think the aim assist in this game is a little bit ridiculous. Like it aim assists you a lot, and it's something you can turn off if it bothers you for sure, but then you're straight up at a disadvantage against other players. In a competitive game, I don't think that should even be an option. But I really dislike how aggressive it is. I guess you're kind of trying to make a game where aiming is not the focal point, right? If the aim assist is strong enough, you can focus on other things like team coordination, using your abilities, thinking about your positioning, because you don't have to devote so many concentration, so many brain resources to the act of aiming. And if I had to guess, I'd say that's the goal of the developers with how aggressive this aim assist is. But if that's the case, then just let us lock onto a character. Let me lock on and say I'm attacking this character, because it has happened in a live stream. I was attacking Chromie and some guy just went past me and the aim assist left Chromie to follow this new target. And I was so close to killing her. And this happened multiple times. Like that example is really vivid in my mind, because it was like that character was dead if the aim assist didn't decide to target another person. So that stuck with me, but the aim assist switching target thing, that happened very, very often. So like the shooting doesn't feel good if there are many targets, which often there are in team fights. It's sometimes hard to pick out the target that you really want to aim towards. And I guess that's an argument towards, hey, maybe turn off auto aim, but then at a distance, like you're just at a severe disadvantage, because it's a really aggressive auto aim, which means you can snipe people from across the map. So yeah, either like make it less aggressive or give me a lock on if you don't want aiming to be something that the players are worried about. And to close out this like general gameplay chapter, I'm kind of worried about the complexity of this game. There are a lot of systems, there were a lot of systems in the beta alone, and the beta doesn't have all the characters, it's not the final roster, and it doesn't even have all the mechanics. But you're in a stage where you have a different objective every time, there are items that you can pick up, there are 3 decks that you can select every time you die, and each one of those decks has a different set of buffs and debuffs. And on top of that, at the final game, you're going to be able to put different cards that buff your character or your character's abilities into each one of those decks. This is a game that I've compared to Overwatch during the live stream, because I think it's very similar. That's not to say, it's like a copy of Overwatch. No, I think it's doing its unique thing. I think it has a place in the market, especially the anime games. Like, you don't have a lot of anime games that do this type of thing. But since I compare this game so much to Overwatch, you think about what's in Overwatch and where the complexity comes from, and it comes from the different team combinations, different team building, different ability combos that you put into place, and every time there's a new hero announced, there's all these new combos that come around and change the meta. Overwatch is pretty complex, even though on the surface it looks pretty simple. It's like, you pick a hero, each hero has like 4 abilities, and the objectives on each map are pretty simple. Now to that, Black Clover is adding 3 different decks, a ton of cards to customize each one of those decks, and then there are items spread out all around the map. I'm really scared that this game won't be maybe as competitive as we'd like. I bet there will be some combination of things that will be completely broken at launch, and by the time they fix that, something else pops up, and the game's always broken all the time. That's a big fear of mine after having tried the game. I do think that's the way it's headed, but obviously I hope I'm wrong. Alright, that closes the general gameplay chapter. Let's move on to stages. I want to say, in general, the stages are fine. They're not dazzling, but they're good looking enough, at least like the forest stage, the ice stage. I did not like that inside stage at all. Like, visually, that stage made me really sort of tired. Does that make sense? And stages are places where you're gonna spend a lot of your time. Every time you're playing this game, you're gonna be in one of these stages. So you're gonna play in these stages a lot of time. And if a stage is not aesthetically pleasing, you're gonna get tired of this game a lot faster than you would if the stages were good looking. So even though it doesn't sound like a problem, I do think it is sort of a problem that needs addressing. Like, everyone has that multiplayer game where they're just playing it, enjoying it, there's this map rotation, and you're good until like that one map that you hate comes in. I think we've already found that one map that we hate. But on the other hand, even if the map doesn't look aesthetically pleasing, I like the geometry on all of these maps a lot. Like, there's a lot of verticality, a lot of opportunity to take advantage of your unique movement abilities. And I think the stage design is amazing in that regard, I really do. But that one map, not a fan. I would also like to ask for a HUD change. Like, the HUD around the screen is ridiculous. There is way too much clutter. Like, the design doesn't look clean at all. There's text popping on screen all the time. Now, a lot of that text could have just been for the closed beta, because they're trying to teach you how to play each game mode at the same time that you're just kind of trying to play the game. So a lot of those messages could go away in the final game. But still, there's a lot that seems to be headed towards the final game as well. For instance, whenever your team is capturing a magic item, you get these 2 extra gauges below the score at the top. Like, there are better ways to do that stuff without actually filling up that much of the screen. Like, imagine between the two numbers a new element pops up and it's just like a circle with a red and a blue portion being filled up, and the one that fills up first conquers the magic circle with a magic item. And when you conquer the magic item, there's this huge text that pops up that says your team got a damage buff. Ooh. Damage buff? It's damage buff. Damage buff. Like, all of that text could have been replaced by something as simple as team damage up. 3 words, doesn't take all that room, and you don't need those fancy things in the background. Like, seriously, so much of the screen is blocked by this stuff, and this is already a confusing game. That's to be expected. It's a team game. There are 8 players at the same time throwing spells. You're not gonna understand what's going on at all times. It's confusing, but that's normal. If you jump into a 1v4 fight, you don't know what killed you because everyone attacked you at the same time. But also you kinda don't need to know what killed you because you jumped in the middle of 4 players on your own. That's what killed you. That said, since it's already a confusing game, if you can make the HUD cleaner, at least it would take away from that confusion. Really, like, this needs to be redone. There is a better way to do all of this stuff. All of these elements can be improved. And finally, I would like to ask for a kill cam, please. And this has to do with my previous point of the game being kind of confusing. You're jumping in a group and there's a team battle and you kind of don't know how you died. So instead of me dying and just having the camera focus on my killer, just give me a kill cam. Just show me the perspective of the opponent. Show me what he did in the final moments before he got the kill. That would help everyone understand this game a lot better. That would help everyone learn what their mistake was immediately after dying. It's a tried and true method. So many multiplayer games have it, and it's for a good reason. It's because it's frustrating to not know what killed you. I think it would be a great tool for you to improve from your mistakes, to learn from them. Like, there was this time where I was in the middle of my own tornado, as you know. My health was full, and then Chromie killed me. Like, Chromie doesn't deal that damage. She doesn't deal that damage in 2 hits. What happened there? I still have no idea to this day. So yeah, whenever there is an unexpected death like that, you can maybe then go analyze and, oh, that guy sniped me from across the map. Okay, I need to go take care of that. Or maybe, hey, there was a surprise ultimate. Okay, I guess I wasn't expecting that. But you learn from what killed you instead of just being like, guess I died. Oh well, respawn. And those are my thoughts, but if you tried out the beta, I'd love to hear what you guys think about it as well. If you have played Black Clover, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And that's it for today's video. If you want to watch the live stream where I play the closed beta, you can watch it right here. If you're in the mood for something else, there's also the video at the bottom. But as always, thank you very much for watching. My name is Globku, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.